Many people are unsure of whether they can retire, access their super and then return to work. And I can understand why, because not only are there different definitions of retirement when it comes to accessing your super, but each definition has a different condition on whether you can return to work. Well, in today's video, I'm going to explain to you all the ways that you can access your super in full and return to work afterwards. Hey, I'm Chris Strano, the founder of SUPERGUY, the place that Australians go to maximise their super and build their own retirement plan. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and all the links related to this video. You can find the links in the description below. If you get value from this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It lets me know that you like the video and motivates me to make more. Remember, this is general advice only, so make sure you check the disclaimer in the link below. Alright, let's get started. To access your super in full, you generally need to have met the superannuation definition of retirement or have reached age 65. And a common question I get is whether you can return to work after retiring and accessing your super under one of these conditions. Now, if we think about this logically, going back to work means you will be earning an income and therefore paying income tax to the government. So why would the government want to stop a willing person from returning to work? It doesn't make sense, does it? But still, there is something in the back of your head making you think that you can't return to work after having already accessed your super, isn't there? Let's see what it is. So, as I mentioned, there are two ways that you can have full access to your super: reaching age 65 and meeting the superannuation definition of retirement. If you're over age 65, you can access as much super as you like, even if you are still working. You don't even need to be retired or have stopped work. Simply reaching age 65 means you can access all of your super. So that covers that. But what if you're not 65 and have instead accessed your super by meeting the superannuation definition of retirement? Can you go back to work? Okay, so there are two definitions of retirement. And this is where there might be a bit of ambiguity as to whether you're allowed to return to work. So the first definition of retirement is that you have reached your superannuation preservation age and are retired with no intention of returning to work on a full-time or part-time basis. This means that provided you have reached your preservation age and are retired, you can access all of your super. If this definition of retirement is what you used to get access to your super, then you are only permitted to work on a casual basis, which is less than 10 hours per week, because part-time is defined as 10 to 30 hours per week, which you have said that you have no intention of doing. So if you've reached your preservation age, retired, and have accessed your super, you can work up to 10 hours per week. Simple. But, and this is a big but, you'll notice this definition of retirement states, retired with no intention of returning to full-time or part-time work. So what if your intentions change? Well, provided your intentions at the time were genuine and you really did have no intention of returning to full-time or part-time work, then that's okay. Maybe your intentions have changed and that's okay. You can return to full-time or part-time work. There is no time frame or anything that needs to pass by. You just need to be genuine that your initial intentions were to retire, because you will need to sign a declaration with your superannuation fund at the time of retirement stating that you have no intention of returning to full-time or part-time work. I hope that makes sense, because this is a very common question I get asked. Okay, let's move on to the other definition of retirement, because remember, there's two definitions of retirement that allow you to access your super, and one or the other gives you full access to your super. So the other definition of retirement is being over age 60 and having had an employment arrangement come to an end. This gives you full access to your super and allows you to work under a different arrangement, provided you had at least one arrangement come to an end. So basically, let's say that you're 62 and you worked for a certain company and you quit and you began work for a different company. When you stop with the first company, you would notify your super fund that you have met a superannuation condition of release, being that of having an employment arrangement come to an end. All of your super balance at that date will become fully accessible to you, even if you go back to work for another company. However, any future contributions, say, contributions made by your new employer, would not be accessible until you meet another condition of release. They would be preserved, but you still have full access to your balance from when you stopped the previous job. Does that make sense? What if you have two jobs? Well, if you quit one job but continued on with the other, you would still meet the retirement definition because you had an employment arrangement come to an end after age 60. What if you stopped work and began working for yourself? Then again, this would satisfy the definition of retirement. If you closed down a business and then you started a completely new different business, then that would work too. And the use of the word employment doesn't mean that you need to be an employee. It covers self-employed people also. The one thing you can't do is abuse this rule. For example, you can't finish up work in a certain capacity with your existing employer with an agreement that you'd be returning on, say, a part-time basis or in a different role or something like that. Because my interpretation is that this would actually be considered as a continued arrangement. And what I mean by that is that no arrangement actually came to an end because you had an arrangement with your employer to continue in some capacity. So as you can see, both of these definitions of retirement can be subjective, and your personal circumstances will dictate whether you can return to work or whether you've satisfied the definition. While both of the rules do provide a certain level of flexibility, neither of them are there to be abused, and there can be harsh penalties for accessing your super early. So just to recap, if you're over age 65, there is nothing stopping you from accessing your super and returning to work or continuing to work. If you accessed your super under the condition that you reached your preservation age and retired with no intention of returning to work, you can either work less than 10 hours per week indefinitely, or if your intentions change sometime in the future, you can return to full-time or part-time work. If you access your super under the condition that you had an employment arrangement come to an end after reaching age 60, then you can basically stop work on Friday and start the new role on Monday, provided the former arrangement came to an end. So there you have it. If you learned something new from this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel. That way you'll be notified every time I upload a video. If you want more exclusive superannuation tips, head over to superguy.com.au and sign up to my newsletter for free. If you want access to my premium superannuation content, head over to superguyhub.com.au. Here, I show you exactly how to build your own retirement plan with the strategies that Australia's top financial planners are charging thousands for. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.